Hi there, it's Dr. Bernstein, and in this video, the second in a two-part series on Charlotte Perkins Gilman and her story, The Yellow Wallpaper, which was first published in 1891, I am going to guide you into the process of reading, understanding, and analyzing the story. Now, it seems like in many ways a very simple, easy to understand story, right? It's the story of a married woman who, with her family, is spending the summer at a sort of somewhat abandoned country mansion. And they're there primarily in order to help her recover from what her husband, a doctor, describes as, and this is a direct quote from the story, a temporary nervous depression, a slight hysterical tendency. So basically what she's experiencing is what we would call depression, but back then was considered hysteria, and it was something that was associated with women and their somehow related to their reproductive organs. So it's interesting because on the one hand, her husband doesn't seem to take her illness or very seriously. In fact, he doesn't really seem to take her seriously in general, but he also doesn't take her illness seriously on the one hand. So we get references to how he doesn't really believe that she's sick, that there's anything really wrong with her. But on the other hand, he takes the whole situation very, very seriously and restricts her activities. He doesn't want her to do things. He wants her to stay inside. He has like directions for every part of the day for her. And so this is important because what he doesn't want her to do is work or to socialize or even to really go out. So he's really emphasizing keeping her inside, in the home, in the realm of the domestic. And so what these two characters, the narrator, who is this woman, who's experiencing this depression, she's unnamed. That's something you think about, is why she doesn't why she isn't named in the story. But so we get the narrator, a woman, a married woman, who is being very much encouraged and sort of forced into staying within the domestic realm, the realm of the private, the realm of the family. And then we get her husband, a doctor, who's like always away. I mean, sometimes he's home, but he's often away. So it's sort of the man as the person who's in that outside world, in the public realm, the person who has the credibility as the doctor, the man of science. And so this is sort of representing some previous generations' stereotypical ideas about gender roles. And what you might want to do as you're reading is think about, what is the narrator's relationship to these gender roles? Does she agree to and conform to them? Why not? Like, give evidence from the story that indicates the degree to which she agrees to them, conforms to them, or the degree to which she doesn't agree and doesn't conform to them. And what degree of power does she seem to possess over her actions, her life, and her course of treatment? Also, as you're reading, you are going to notice that the narrator spends a lot of time thinking about the wallpaper, hence the title of the story. And what's important, it's really important to avoid thinking about the wallpaper as just some literal paper that's on the wall. Right? This is a short story, and so this wallpaper is the main symbol in the story. And so what I want to tell you is a little bit about literary symbolism, and it's coming from Kelly Griffith's book, Writing Essays About Literature. It's a good book, and most college libraries have a copy of it, so you might want to explore it. Griffith points out that a symbol is something that represents something else, an object that has meaning beyond itself. The object is concrete, but the meanings are abstract. So the wallpaper is the concrete object here, right? It's a, even it's a fictional story, but it's the concrete real object, but it symbolizes something. So keep in mind, as you're trying to think about, well, what does it symbolize, that a symbol, especially in literature, often does not have a clear referent or fixed meaning. That is, it's unlike a metaphor where one thing becomes completely the other thing. It usually, a great symbol is something that where the meaning can't quite be defined, it can mean multiple things. This is one of the reasons why some people who are not English majors go crazy when they're reading literature, because there's no one right answer for what a symbol is, because it's quite possible, and it often is the case, that the best symbols are the ones that can mean multiple things, or where you can't quite tie down exactly what it means. So that's something you should think about as you're reading this story and other stories as well. If you really want to take your attempt to understand the symbolism of the Yale wallpaper, to a higher level, let me tell you a little strategy that I often use. I know some people have been asking about marking up text and marginalia. Well, this might help you a lot, because it helps me. It's what I do often when I'm reading a story that I'm going to teach, or if I'm working on my own project. And that is, when I'm reading the story for the first time, I'm underlining things. So for instance, in this case, I would be underlining all of the key references to the wallpaper. And I might not really know what to make of it at first, so I might just underline some passages. Sometimes I might be able to jot down like a few ideas of what it might mean. And then once I've gotten through the whole story, because again, as you're reading a story for the first time, you're really getting just the gist of things. But then what you can do, it's a little time consuming, but it's a really powerful tool, is to go back and either type up those quotes, get them into one document. It's the main thing. I happen to know that there are a number of online full text versions of this short story, so you might not have to retype the whole passages. You can go get the online copy of it and copy and paste the passages that refer to the Yale wallpaper. And then once you have all of them in one document, right, you can really start to zoom in on them and see, like, oh wow, when it's first mentioned, she's thinking of it this way, and oh look, this is when a woman starts appearing, and you can start seeing things that you can't quite see when you just have the quotes spread out through the story. So that's one strategy I strongly encourage you to try using, especially if you're going to have to write a paper on the text that you're studying. So one other thing, some readers think that at the end of the story, Gilman's character has really lost her mind, and you can definitely let yourself contemplate, based on the evidence in the story, whether or not you agree with that conclusion. But I also encourage you to think about the deeper significance of the narrator's identification with the wallpaper. So that's something that's happening at the very end of the story, is that the narrator it's no longer that the wallpaper's out there and she's over here. She really sort of becomes one with the wallpaper. And you might want to think about that, significance of that in relationship to what you think the wallpaper symbolizes. So, as you know, I'm not here to give you online spark notes to tell you what everything means and do all the work for you. I'm really here to guide you into the text so that you're empowered to start interpreting it. Because ultimately, that's the most important thing in my mind. So I'm really, really curious to hear what you guys come up with on your own reading, not what other people say. So I'd really encourage you to share your insights in the comment boxes down below. And that's it for now. Take care. Bye.